Blue, and you know they're still both very good teams, and you'd like to think that Darksided are not going to maybe perhaps make the same mistakes as Blank Blue did on that assault.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think we've got to consider here is like it's not like they didn't deserve it, but certainly Blank Blue did make mistakes. You're quite right, and there were mistakes that contributed to that map loss. So, I mean, Darksided already are looking good. They're looking, quite, like you said, quite clean. They're looking kind of more like themselves, especially when we compare it to that first outing on Ruins. We just have to see if that still is the case here now on Hanamura.
And we've also got the Darksided, well-practiced Orisa, Hog, Duo, Turmo onto the Junkrat as well. Going to be the first rotation come out from Darksided, so now they're both going to meet each other around this sort of bell, this massive bell where a battle will take place. Look for the pulls from Punk into the hooks from Mooney.
That was a good fake out actually, because that whole time Turmo was just kind of throwing grenades at pretty much nothing. They've taken a lot less spam damage than they otherwise would have. Now actually Darksided kind of have to contend with much higher health members of Kanga than they were maybe hoping. That being said, they're still able to isolate Pisa. Off the back of that, Kanga just starting to pull back. They don't have the Reinhardt shield to kind of rally behind. And that pushback may actually really help Turmo. Yeah, here with the Riptire, straight into the point. Who's he looking for? Looking for the Moira with the Coalescence running. Never saw it coming.
So this is kind of a 50-50 fight for both sides. On one hand, Kanga Esports, they got a very early ultimate, as expected when you're playing the Moira into heavy tank compositions, especially against Junkrat sort of damage. At the same time, committed the Coalescence after a member already died in that 5 versus 6. Darksided, on the other hand, kind of said, okay, we'll respect this one, backed off from the point. So what the trade-off ends up being is Darksided win the fight, but Kanga capped 2/3.
Yeah, and that is what really makes it worthwhile here for Kanga, because of how that played out. They got a lot of time on the point. Now, though, Darksided, they shouldn't fall prey to the same trick twice, but Kanga, they don't have to go around the side. They're just going to pile right onto it. Pressure's on Darksided to actually get feet on the point so that they can contest this while they're trying to do damage, but they're just not getting much done with the Tactical Visor. Finally getting Locust with the whole hog, but the trade backs are there. Roro kind of trying to answer with his own. Both just having a bit of a hard time really flipping things in their favor, but Merit, this Coalescence could be what kind of swings it about. But no, losing Pisa in among that, super rough for this Kanga side, and Darksided are kind of staying on the point now, not letting Kanga get more progress, and with these picks coming in, it looks like a repeat of last fight, only much less progress gained for Kanga.
Exactly, 88.5, it's not bad. It's going to push things a little bit further forward if Darksided managed to get this full hold, but for Darksided, otherwise they had decent picks there, different target priority. Again, a lot of just the Kanga members just went down slowly one by one, and Kanga had to then back off. Turmo now sitting back on another Riptire. Mooney, he had a great whole hog there. Roro, on the other hand, unfortunately had to use his into a Transcendence.
They've got some key ultimates here. Looking for the Earth Shatter. There's going to be the Riptire in. Oh, okay. Nearly got stopped up, but not quite. Finds Davey in the mix, and now the Kanga members looking dangerously low, having not really got the leverage out of that Earth Shatter. Yeah, just starting to get picked apart now. Darksided losing too many members. That's it. They're donezo. Kanga were looking super low, but the closeout just not quick enough for Darksided. They're still kind of around here. Getting a couple on the back end is going to stall up the snowball onto point B, but Kanga break point A. Now have 5 minutes to try and break point B.
And that's the kind of setup that Kanga had from the start, right? They camped that first 2/3. Come on now to collect through, get that full cap on. 5 minutes after the cap, they now get to go into, or 5 minutes remaining rather, they get to go into this B with the Graviton Surge available, with another Coalescence, and with the whole hog as well. We're going to see the whole hog blender into the grab potentially, and I love that strat.
And I mean, this has got to do what that Earth Shatter couldn't do on point A, even though they ended up capping. Yeah, coming around the back side here. They do have to contend with USMC on the high ground, though. They haven't really done anything to dislodge him. That means the grab is just going to kind of sit on this low ground as it goes. Was that Eden? It was.
Well, I don't see a grab, so yeah, that is.
It must have been. I mean, I heard, heard the voice line and everything. So now just kind of scrapping it out on the point, having not really gained a numerical advantage. In fact, losing Pisa. Darksided don't even have tools to work with anymore. Now with the Transcendence run out, Roro does still have a whole hog, but they're not actually coming out ahead in this fight. They're just kind of sitting ducks in the middle of this point, getting no real progress, unfortunately, as Darksided just starting to run circles around and get the full wrap around circles, in circles rather, and then just pincers in from either side.
Nice cleanup there from Darksided, and you can't understand how important it was for USMC and the rest of their squad to get that rotation onto the high ground. Really nicely played. As soon as you see all these big tanks coming through, especially ones with ultimates, you can't just sit at spawn anymore. Go the opposite direction to them. Once you're in the high ground as USMC, Kanga can't contest you. No one from that squad outside of Ziggy, who might solo dive USMC kind of fruitlessly, no one can touch USMC, so almost no matter what happens, as long as Darksided tanks can stay alive on the point, USMC gets a ton of free damage, and now he's back onto yet another tag visor.
Yeah, and this time Kanga really needed to do something to actually dislodge him, to contest him. They have got the right kind of lineup to maybe do that, and there it is, the dive on from Pisa, but instantly dropped down as Termo starts to go to work on the remaining members still on the back line, gets Roro as well, able to get out alive. Look at how low Termo's health is there, but Kanga all dead, no one really alive to finish the job on Termo. This is just, yeah, it's cyberbullying, that's what that is. Just let the man die.
Ziggy's spending a long time here. By the time he goes down, doesn't remake. Well, I mean, he probably shouldn't have, because he would just lost another make, fed more ultimate. So, but yeah, it's just like really unfortunate. 2 minutes 40 now remaining. Darksided still sitting on a bunch of ultimates. Kanga still just looking for their tools. I mean, they're switching compositions fully, so you do have to expect it is a slower approach. They've had to come up with brand new ultimates on fresh heroes. It's not going to be fast.
Now they're just trying to find their way in on this next push. They don't really have anything to use for it. I mean, they should be able to get a Dragon Blade up during the fight, but you kind of want to have that ready at the start.
They're going to have to get rid of Molotov's Transcendence to start with, and I'm not expecting huge things out of this push, but if they can get good picks, it might change the story.
Not quite able to catch anyone on that initial kind of engage there, Darksided. Now Kanga had the opportunity to maybe get on the point in earnest, but Punk can have something to say about that. Going to try and make them all duck for cover. Pisa not able to get under the bridge in time. And that's nearly a Red Hot Chili Peppers song there. But that's beside the point, as now Darksided just starting to get the runaround once again on Kanga, who all kind of had to scatter to the four winds thanks to the self-destruct. Because that, they were just isolated, now getting picked apart. And yeah, Ziggy doesn't want to go to school anymore, Mum. The other kids are mean to him.
Oh my God. Body blocking, the only way to get off the map as well. Look, 4 of them are just standing there. Oh, that is brutal. Another sleep dart. Have a good night, Ziggy. Kanga got to wait a while for that one. Don't remake. That's 500 HP you lose. Bad, Ziggy, bad.
Yeah, that's just so unfortunate. I mean, that's 500 hit points that just get fed straight back into ultimate charge, this time onto Mooney and Punk. And you see Kanga now with a phenomenal amount of time lost off that alone. It's not even including the fight that they lost before that, and devastatingly behind in the ultimates.
Yeah, that is not where you want to be right now. Termo with the Dragon Blade, Molotov still with the Transcendence that he held onto last fight. So one of the goals for Kanga was to pressure out support ultimates. They couldn't get that one. Swalko now onto the Nano Boost as well. Nano Blade might be on the menu.
USMC straight in now. Pulse Bomb connected, and he was given the Nano Boost, so wow. Yeah, that is quick stuff. Kanga barely enough time now for one last push after that. That was half the remaining minute they had just gone.
That's like a recruitment video for the US Marine Corps right there. That's what will get you in there. USMC just on fire.
Is that what that actually stands for?
Well, it does to me.
I mean, if
my
so,
headcanon says yes.
If not, then you just did something really clever. If yes, then he just did something really clever.
Maybe we're both clever. Look,
maybe everyone is just, maybe there was more than one clever person. But it's going to be Roro with this Dragon Blade that's going to have to be the X factor for Kanga here if they want to get in this. And yeah, Pisa slept as they pick off the, tried to pick off at least the other tank, but it's Mooney the first casualty. Termo opening up, not quite finding, there we go, Roro at long last, who was running with his own Dragon Blade. That's all Termo really needed to get. Everything else is just a bonus, a Christmas bonus even. It's the best kind of bonus because then it's also, because it's all, not only is it a bonus, it's also Christmas. And it is Merry Christmas for Darksided as they get all the presents, and unfortunately Ziggy
gets a lump of coal.
Yeah, gets a lump of coal, being a bad diva.
Oh, it is unfortunate. Like, there's very little you can do in that sort of scenario. Yes. And even worse, when the only way to get off the map is blocked by four members of Darksided just saying, where you going? Where you going?
Yeah, hey.
This restricted area.
It is like being bullied in school when like they all surround you and you can't get out. It's actually like that was actually like watching Ziggy, like watching that happen to him was a bit too real.
Like 2 sleeps, by the way, into another DMech. So he got DMech twice, slept twice. Like that's crazy.
It's like, hey, here guys, have some ult charge. It's like you go and do like a tour of like the Darksided ranch. It's like, this here is our beaver farm.
I'll tell you what, like from his perspective though, it's like if I remake, I could fly off the map. because then you can get over the heads. So you can sort of see it there, but at the same time, it's like, I will fly off the map, but also give away 500 charge. So it is a bad, look, it's bad or bad. Pick your poison, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to give away ult charge or give away time? There's no right answer. Yeah, how about both? Yeah, no, there is no right answer. Like, it's not Ziggy's, like we say bad diva. It's not Ziggy's fault. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely not his fault. That's exactly why teams kind of do the pet diva thing, right? But I mean, if you want to see that, you know, at its logical extension, at its most devastating, I mean, that was it in action, right? And Ziggy, I mean, this is the unfortunate thing about being a team's diva player, is like you have to get back up and do it all over again. He's like, nope, that's it. I'm done with it. I'm playing Roadhog.
Fair enough. I can't blame him.
He's so sick of being bullied. He got his big brother to come in school.
The other thing is defensively, this is now kind of mirror of what Darksiders ran on their A defense. So it is back to the Orisa Hog combo. You got yourself a Junkrat as well, Locust onto the Soldier. So you're looking very much for that front-facing defense. A lot of strength at that front for Darksiders, especially with Turmo on the skies as well. If you can get a great flank onto Kanga, that's how you're going to get past them.
Now, Darksiders, they only need to find their way in. Do you need to crack A altogether and then just get a third on B? Very much achievable for them, and already kind of looking in decent shape. Turmo getting the wraparound behind the shields and just hasn't been answered yet. Pisa just kind of has to keep looking forward. Locust, though, catching Turmo does mean that the rest of these tanks aren't as vulnerable, but now Mooney able to dive in on, unfortunately, Locust. Not quite going down in that one. Turmo does get rezzed as well, so kind of zero-sum game, at least for the time being. But Darksiders still keeping the pressure on. And by the way, they're on the point. They're doing a great job of keeping Kanga just pressured out to the side here. And
that's kind of a repeat of what we saw from Kanga's original attack. You had to pull back just a little bit because you lost a member there. And now just Darksiders to get themselves nearly 2 caps or nearly 2 ticks. Might get the third right now.
I mean, it's a mirror of the strategy that Kanga were using on their offense. The difference being it's Darksiders getting the kills here, the attacker getting the kills rather than the defender. So there we go, already cracked in one push. Took a little bit of time, but honestly not too much, and now only that 1/3 on B.
Yeah, I have to really highlight the little in that sentence. There's a little bit of time, 6 minutes 42 remaining. In fact, they had about 6:50 going in. 1 minute and 10 is not bad at all for an A attack. Darksiders, though, the only thing they don't really have is enough ultimates to maybe snowball this one through. So for Kanga, got a lot more in the bank. Locust and Davey in particular, both sort of at the 88, 89, and they will get that nano visor up fairly soon. Yeah. Roro might be able to win a fight just with a good Riptide.
That's the thing, even without that, like they do have the tools to just nip this one in the bud if they land this well.
Just like that. That's a nip in the bud.
Unfortunately, yeah, nipped the Riptide in the bud. Nipped the nipper. The nipper has been nipped.
Nip tire.
And that's going to be the aggression now out of Darksiders as they can off the back of that low Locust. That is the nano visor combo they were waiting for. Only got Molotov, but getting Molotov may just be plenty enough. No res to come in. Now it's just the nano boost, which itself has now run out. So USMC continuing to run circles around these supports, keeping Merit far away from the fight, breaking the sight lines. Davey as well, constantly getting pressured back and out. Kanga just trying to bite back, but it's Turmo now set up on the high ground, largely uncontested and uncontestable. Punk just barely able to get a self-destruct in time to remech. Like, he nearly lost the mech at like 99% ult charge, but no, preserves it. Not a single member dead in that, aside from Molotov, who then got rezzed, and that was very clean from Darksiders.
And once again, we see Darksiders just run circles around attack visor, a nano visor this time, even if you will. Yeah, you got this ultimate combo. This is the ultimate combo that you need to win. 2 of the real big defensive advantages for Kanga did not work out. The Riptire was a nope tire. Then Locust as well couldn't find anything with a tactical visor. Darksiders come in pretty fresh, pretty healthy, clean up the remaining members, and that's a cap.
And a very, very clean one. I mean, you've got to consider as well, like, that fight started and we were sort of saying, yeah, like, Darksiders don't quite have the right tools here, and, like, it certainly looked like Kanga, you know, at least had the tools to not lose on that fight. I still expected Darksiders to get it eventually. They had 7 minutes. They only had to get a third, but, man, that was quick, and it was good.
It was definitely very good there from Darksiders, and you kind of mentioned it. It really felt like they were playing very well around Kanga's win conditions and kind of negating them in a way.
Exactly, and that's part of, you know, planning coming into effect, good understanding of macro game, like what do we need to do to win? More importantly, what do the other team need to do to win, and how do we play around that? Darksiders showing us exactly what that looks like.
definitely a lot of awareness there on the Darksided roster of, you know, what they needed to be doing, what their opponents were doing as well, and what kind of ultimates were charged up. Good ult counting there, of course, from Darksided as well. And again, Darksided come away with a fairly clean, clinical kind of a map win. This is the Darksided that we've sort of wanted to see for the first few weeks and haven't really been able to see just yet. Now, finally, it seems like they're kind of kicking themselves into gear.
Yeah, and no better is that discipline shown, in my honest opinion, than like in that very first fight. It takes a lot of discipline to like quote unquote lose a fight in terms of like giving over 2 whole thirds of the objective to your opponent, knowing that all you're really doing is weathering the storm until you can re-engage. That takes a lot of discipline to do, and you know, you've got to really praise Darksided for that. Exactly. And then to continue on from that, actually then win the fight when they do get in position to push back, because that's also exactly where Kanga themselves failed immediately after on their own defense.
Sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Darksided did a similar thing on Numbani. They gave away a lot of camp pressure, but it doesn't matter if you can just win off it. You
exactly.
Know, the more important thing sometimes is that you need to win the fight. So it's Darksided looking, you know, further down the line, looking at the long term, looking at the game as a whole, and not just the result of one fight.
Well, speaking of the game as a whole, we are just about to get things wrapped up here. We've got 3 maps so far, 1 more to go in the series, and currently it is 3-0 for Darksided. Dorado to be the final map, guys. This definitely feels to me like it's a 4-0 on the cards now. It really doesn't feel like Darksided is in a position to drop any of these maps.
It would feel strange for Darksided to lose now after a dominant Numbani, after a dominant Hanamura. It would be crazy for Darksided to somehow lose Dorado.
Yeah, especially when this is the one map that is actually dark as well. So far, a lot of daytime. Finally, it's nighttime. I mean, it feels cheery. Like, there's lights, there's carnival, there's piñatas, there's even mariachi music. But don't get me wrong, this is a dark side map.
And the scary thing is, look, don't have Darksided versus Nocturnal Predators here, because that's they want to both be here.
That's too dark. It's too dark. It's like they're both in their natural habitat. But yes, I'm a fan of Dorado. I mean, it's so colorful. It's just exciting. Again, it's like nondescript Mexican City. Where exactly is it? Who knows? That's the fun.
It's not El Dorado, but it's just
Dorado.
It's just a Dorado.
Well, that's the thing. Like, El just means the. So it's like, it's not the Dorado, but it is a Dorado. But it's going to be, once again, Darksided on the defense first. So we really want to see them. They're taking quite an advanced defense here. Maybe just going to see, they are going to go for a fight here, see if they can get a catch. Kind of, again, nip this push in the bud. And already, actually, Kanga kind of backing off the payload, just kind of letting Darksided exert this pressure for free.
Look at the cart location. This is the most important thing for both teams. And for Darksided, early contest. Mooney jumped down there. Now the cart is not moving. Roro looking for picks, but he's going to be looking for a while. Kanga Esports finally getting the push on through. Darksided going to give them a little bit of space, but they did buy a little bit of time.
That was a really good bit of jostling there. I mean, you do have to appreciate that Kanga at least didn't lose any members, but unfortunately, Darksided get to just burn time off the clock for free. Now they're coming into the place where they really want to sort of dig their heels in and defend as the cart rounds this bridge.
So the one thing Darksided do have to respect here, and due to evidence as well, Roro has hit some nice shots in the Widowmaker. He may continue to hit some nice shots, and if he does, Kanga can get their leg in. So for Darksided, make sure you're not playing too deeply into his line of sight. Make sure you're giving him the proper respect, but also control him.
Oh, there's the one. I like that they were playing very patiently because they want to get Roro set up with sightlines. And actually catching USMC means that flank threat is no longer there. With that, they go aggressive and it starts to pay off. Termo, despite the tag buys, are finding nothing, getting forced back now as well. The Transcendence from Molotov not really doing too much work as it runs out. Res comes into Mooney, but they lose Molotov immediately. So Darksided still actually very much on the back foot here. And I said that this is where they wanted to dig in their heels. That being said, because of how they had to set up for that fight, the payload's not moved, and with those kills off the self-destruct, Termo's still in the fight, they actually start heading back. They were back-footed, but at least that front heel was dug in enough for them to rally and swing back.
And now this is like the opposite of what we saw on the first attack from Kanga on Hanamura, right? Because back then it was Kanga forcing Darksided back, and Darksided might pull back a little bit, and then Kanga get 2 ticks on Hanamura. This time around, though, cut. No movement. You pointed this out already, but it has to be highlighted. It is so important that you play around this objective. Where the card is very definitive of how teams need to be playing.
I mean, it's the opposite of that situation on Hanamura, right? Where you actually do need, in this case, to be playing the objective and not the fight. Like, Kanga kind of tunneled on the fight a little bit. Now Darksided kind of keeping tabs on the objective well and truly. Very aggressive once again from Kanga. This time, though, keeping the objective moving. And I like that they forced Darksided well back. But with Pisa not able to regroup, now Darksided can once again just rejoin the fray. They catch Merit as they do so, just advancing forward. They get pushed a little bit back, but the weight is still there, ready to kind of swing in with a haymaker, and suddenly Kanga just dropping to the floor again.
Davey also wrong place at the wrong time, and for the rest of the Kanga, might even look to get a minor spawn camp as Pisa barely makes it back to his starting location.
To get into his spawn that was like 2 meters away.
And if he didn't, man, he would have been chunked out, may have not died, but he would have lost a lot of health, forced, you know, maybe a potential more ultimate charge. 60 seconds remaining, Roro now going on to the Genji. So about the last time you can make this compositional change at 1 minute. Maybe when you get towards the overtime, in 1 minute you can expect one ultimate, but otherwise, this is kind of like just the final dash for them and running into a ton of ultimates as well.
Yeah, it's their last chance, right? It's the last hurrah, and like you said, a ton of ultimates, notably that tactical visor. Last time it didn't get to do anything, and again, they're just trying to dive onto Turmo, but Turmo pulling back very, very quickly, was playing very far back, and now throws that into the mix. Merit does have the translators to counter it out to some extent. Molotov, though, now re-entering the fray with his own, keeps the tanks healthy and fine on the front line, so they start to pressure. Kangas catches two on the back end. That's both the supports dropped to the grave, and now Locust and Peas are following them very promptly. It's Ziggy once again just getting cyber-bullied, but the gong will ring, and with it, it will sound Kanga's death knell, as Darksided now only needing to advance 80 meters on their offense.
And twice, Punk was able to get that double kill as the D.Va. Ridiculous by him as well. Look, the thing about that cart location, there's sort of like two break points for me on Dorado in that in fact, no, we'll say three. The first one is around the first bend on that first building on the road, and then the second one is at the choke point. The third is right before that fountain. So Darksided managed to hold it slightly, you know, they didn't quite hold it behind the fountain, but it is a little bit ahead. So you'd like to see it just, you know, if you wanted perfection here, you would have wanted that third breakpoint. At the same time, though, for Darksided, it's still very capable out of them. A first hold, the second first hold we've seen from Darksided against Kanga Esports. And, it is just not looking too pretty.
And also, as much as they didn't get a hold at, like a full hold at any of those significant points, I mean, they took enough time off the clock at every single one of them, including that sort of very, very first one, which you don't see very often these days. Often, you know, either you don't have the opportunity to dive in, you just sort of have to back off, give that ground up, or you do, and it goes sour. So taking as much time as they did off Kanga right there and then actually really helped Darksided just burn down the clock. Kanga going to have to do the same here, and to greater effect if they want to try and turn this around.
That's why I have to describe Darksided as a team that's kind of looking at the longer term, looking for the late game play here. It's not just about the early setup. They're looking to see, okay, what does the end of this game look like? What does the later stages look like? And what it does look like is if we burn off some time at the start, maybe it's 10 seconds, maybe it's 15, 20 seconds off that first break point around the first corner. That 10 to 20 seconds makes a big difference towards the end in Kanga's final fight. That's one less fight for them right at the end of the game when it matters the most. So Kanga is just kind of falling prey to Darksided's long-term vision here, which is great.
Yeah, like it's something we
like
see...
the Sith Lord they are.
It's something we see very kind of exacerbated. You know, we see it in a much more extreme fashion in Time Bank. But I like that, you know, Darksided, like you said, very aware at all times of the win condition. Now out the gate, Roro, Tomo doesn't want to, or Swilko was actually technically on that Widowmaker, but it looks like they don't really want to bother contesting him. They're just going to try and steer clear of the sightlines. And speaking of, the payload just moved uncontested so far. So that first breakpoint already kind of untouched by Kanga.
This is now becoming a bit of a comfort pick for Roro, a bit of a pocket strat for Kanga Esports as well. You might have to take this one out of the pouch eventually because it's just not really working too well outside of Ilios and starting to become, you know, just too dependent.
Yeah. Saying when all else fails, put Roro on Widow only works if Roro on Widow carries the team a lot.
You're babying him too much. Take the Joey out of the pouch.
For goodness sake. but that's going to be aggressive onto the tank. Ziggy a little bit too far forward and just Darksided piling on the pressure. The payload's already moved so far that this could actually just be the final fight. Indeed, not quite going to happen as Kanga biting back, and as it turns out, that kind of plan B, or is it maybe plan C strat of Roro on Widow did work out for them, but Darksided are not quite done. The tanks are still in the mix. They've still got the supports. USMC holding onto a pulse bomb. Punk knows he's done so. Doesn't actually get a chance to commit to self-destruct, and that may be, yes, indeed, it is going to be what forces Darkseid back for good.
I will make a correction. Did get the chance to use it, decided not to use it. Important for
Yes.
Darksided to preserve what is left of their ult economy. Can't in a great location. Talk about the third breaking point. It's about now. So this is an important place for the defense to get a defensive setup now. And this is where the defense has to sit further back. You note that if it was more towards the arch, which the Kant is backing up towards now, the defense can get quite aggressive on the choke. But for Darksided, as soon as they wait for the infrasight to sort of dissipate here, they can make some, you know, some more rotations around flanks and make a lot more plays with the room they've been given.
Darksided, though, they've got the ultimates to just punch through this sound barrier just kind of in the back pocket. And all Kanga have to work with is a lone Valkyrie. Darksided committing them. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect, but they've still got Merit in the back end. It's going to have to be rezzed here, surely. Self-destruct catches Davey. No res available. Also no Valkyrie. Now Turbo wants to really go to town, make it look good. Self-destruct going to come out from Ziggy, but to no effect, and he will not remech as now Kanga just picked apart, dropping like flies, or indeed is that kangaroos during hunting season. And Darksided looking to just roll the cart on through. Easy peasy 4-0.
Pretty much as you'd expected Darksided to come away with that one. It was clean pretty much the entire way through. Only a minor hiccup at the start there, but otherwise a 4-0 that you'd, as your Darksided, very happy to take away. And for Kanga, just that slight more distance still to make before they can catch up to Serenity.
And you've got to question the ability to even make that distance. I don't want to say that too harshly, but I mean, certainly we were saying, look, even if they lose here, they want to at least pick up a couple of map wins here so that, you know, they don't have as like tougher turnarounds to make if they want to break into top 4. But now Kanga in a situation where they're going to have to start getting some 4-0s of their own if they really want a significant shot, not just in making playoffs, but then also actually getting somewhere in playoffs.
Yeah, going to be really, really tough now for Kanga heading into the last couple of weeks of Contenders. I think they actually only have 1 or 2 more matches, so maybe, I mean, I haven't done the maths, but I almost feel like their playoffs contention chances are actually done, or if they lose one more series, they will be done, essentially. So it's really kind of up in the air now for Kanga. We sort of thought coming into the season, actually, that Kanga was going to be challenging maybe even Legacy.
Well, the thing is, Kanga still, I believe, have Serenity left, and they also have Tainted Minds left, so they could beat both those teams, and that might just be enough, but they got to do it pretty convincingly, because Serenity did take a map off Darksided, Kanga did not.
And also, at that point, it also becomes dependent on the other results of teams like Legacy and Serenity in this group, whether or not that, like, getting good wins there is still enough to push them into that 4th place spot. That's where that map differential maybe really is going to change things up. You mentioned that one map win that Serenity did get. Not getting that here for Kanga means, hey, maybe that map differential, or indeed lack thereof in favor of Kanga, is the deciding factor between 4th and 5th.
And you know what? That also makes the next matchup here very important as well, because Serenity is playing up against Blank Blue. That's one that Kanga did get a map off of, so it all kind of comes back and ties together. Anyway, jumping back into our first series here, of course, Darksided getting that 4-0 over Kanga. Definitely has to feel good, particularly after last week. You know, I mean, obviously we sort of always expected Darksided to be sitting towards the top 1 and 2, but how they played last week didn't necessarily correlate to a team that would be dominating and potentially even pushing for that first position in the group.
And looking at Blank afterwards is going to be important, because we still haven't seen Blank versus Darksided. We've seen a very good series now out of Darksided. Blank going to need a very good series themselves, not just because they're looking to collect the points, but also how do they look compared to Darksided. That sort of observational comparison going to be quite important moving on.
And we've got to consider as well, like in there, especially towards the end, I mean, realistically, by the end of Ilios, actually, Darksided looked very much kind of